Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
All right, Vikings Vent Line every Sunday right here on the Purple Daily YouTube channel and podcast feed. We are getting closer and closer to week 1 against the New York Giants. Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment, and Vikings Vent Line is a show for you, the Vikings fans. So if you'd like to join a future episode here of the off-season edition of Vent Line with myself, you can hit me up. It's vikingsventline@gmail.com. That's the email to send in requests. I would love to hear from you. Of course, once the regular season starts and maybe you haven't experienced a Vikings Vent Line in season, that's where Mackie, Judd, and myself bring on as many Vikings fans as possible to talk about the game. And then, of course, in the off season, I still like to talk to Vikings fans from all across the country, all across the globe. So if this is a show that maybe you recently stumbled upon, hit me up. If you'd like to be on it, hit me up. It's vikingsventline@gmail.com. Purple Daily sponsored by our friends at Quick Trip. If you're at a Quick Trip, go support our sponsors. They're a great spot for gasoline, for great stuff in store as well. So go check out a Quick Trip if you're able to. We appreciate them for sponsoring programming on Purple Daily. I'm going to have my guys Seth and Alex on here in just a little bit. And again, if you want to be on a future episode, you can hit me up. It's vikingsventline@gmail.com. Training camp going on too, so stick around for Judd's camp notes sprinkled around this YouTube channel and podcast feed. Appreciate you guys listening and supporting. All right, let's get our guys Alex and Seth in here. Boys, thanks for joining Vikings Vent Line. How we doing? Are you guys excited for training camp? It's finally here. The off season's finally over with.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to watch. I mean, I've been seeing a lot of Sam Darnold and J.J. McCarthy throwing balls, and I mean, I'm excited to see Sam Darnold this year, to be honest.
Heck yeah. Alex, how about you, man? Are you glad training camp's finally here and we're through the off season?
Yeah, it feels like a totally different vibe. I mean, the last 6 or so years it felt like, hey man, it's Kirk running with the ones and that's it. But now we've got some intrigue and some things to watch, so pretty excited to see how things shake out.
Absolutely, yeah. It is an interesting time for Vikings fans who are very used to Kirk Cousins and just kind of having a pretty steady training camp, and now it's a completely different vibe. So it'll be exciting. So let's start here. Seth, I'll start with you, man. What is your hottest take? We love to give hottest takes during the Purple Daily season as well, and we obviously like to drop just hot takes periodically. But Seth, what is your hottest take going into this season for the Vikings?
Unpopular opinion for some people. I mean, I've been looking around I'm all over Vikings Twitter, but I mean, I see mixed reactions about it. I think Sam Darnold is honestly going to surprise a lot of people. I really do. I mean, watching this training camp, seeing these balls, I mean, that dude he can throw that thing. And I mean, he can really throw some deep balls. And I mean, I know Kirk could do it, but I don't think he could throw it the way that like Sam Darnold can downfield. I know Kirk was better in the short range, but once you get into the short and medium passes, I know Kirk was way better there. But I think the thing that our team needed for the longest time was a way to just stretch the field. And I think Sam Darnold can 100% do that quite a bit better than Kirk can, at least from training camp it looks like so far.
Yeah, it's an interesting time where we are getting off a stability train of Kirk Cousins. You're bringing in Sam Darnold, who was a former top 5 pick and, has bounced around a little bit, but he's now surrounded by a much better infrastructure. Can he kind of drive this car and maybe even drive it maybe not as good as Kirk Cousins, but can he drive it differently than Kirk Cousins? I think that's kind of the open-ended question to figure out as training camp progresses and as Sam Darnold most likely opens as the Vikings starting quarterback. We'll see how long he holds that job. But Alex, how about you, man? Do you have a hottest take going into this season? What is it?
Yeah, Seth, you're spot on. I was going to go with Darnold for my hot take as maybe 30 touchdowns and a top 6 offense. But let's lean into that. I think JJ is going to go for 2,000. I mean, this dude is built different. He is so much fun to watch. Like, you see other receivers in the drama. Like, this kid just loves to play football. He's special, and I think there might be a little bit more chaos with Darnold. Kirk really cut down on some of the strip sack things and things like that. We might see some chaotic moments from Darnold, but I think JJ is going to go over 2,000 yards. So break the record held by Megatron and go top of the all-time record.
Yeah, I mean, JJ seems like he's locked in always, and he's going to put this injury-riddled season behind him. And over the last year or two after an impressive rookie year, it kind of feels like, oh, well, maybe Tyreek Hill's better, maybe Devontae Adams better. It kind of feels like going into this season that Justin Jefferson is the best wide receiver in the NFL. And even though it might be Sam Darnold or maybe one day a rookie quarterback and J.J. McCarthy throwing to him, it seems like, use the term Megatron, Alex, with Calvin Johnson. It just feels like just target him. Just throw the ball there.
Yep.
Some are going to bounce, some might get picked off, but you just got to feed him, and it seems like he'll have the separation and, just ability to get open and make catches that the ordinary wide receiver can't. We'll see how long Sam Darnold is the starting QB. And yes, I mean, there's a world that, just like Seth said, where maybe he is the starting quarterback all year. And because he's around a really good head coach and has weapons like JJ and Jordan Addison and now Aaron Jones coming in, eventually TJ Hawkinson should get healthy. It's a better offensive line. It's not a great offensive line, but better than what he's used to working with. So, yeah, there could be some big surprises, I think, from Darnold this year. I'm curious to see how it develops throughout training camp and into the season. Speaking of training camp, Seth, who are you kind of looking forward to watching the most as training camp progresses? What player kind of has your intrigue the most here?
The easy answer, I'm pretty sure, is J.J. McCarthy. I mean, that is the obvious answer. But for me, I mean, I'm a lot higher than most people are. I'm really high on Brandon Powell. I mean, I don't know what it is. The way he plays and the way he came in last year, I'm really high, and I really want to watch Brandon Powell kind of get a little bit more spotlight, because I know you guys lately have been listening. I mean, at work, I listen to it quite often, the podcast a lot, but you guys seem to have a debate over the wide receiver 3. And, I mean, I'm really high on Brandon Powell. I really think it's going to be him. And I'm really excited to see. Like, the other day, he had a really good catch. I don't remember throwing it to him, but you guys were talking about it. But I saw a clip of it, I think, as well, from somewhere deep on Twitter. But I saw a clip of him catching a really good ball. And, I mean, I think he could be really good this year. I think he could step in as a good, solid wide receiver 3. And I've always thought, when anybody asks about the wide receiver core, I always say, I think we have one of the best wide receiver cores, just for the fact that I think Brandon Powell, me personally, is a solid receiver 3.
Yeah, he has the experience from working with Kevin O'Connell before. He might not be flashy, but if KJ Osborne, who has been the Vikings wide receiver 3 the last few years before departing in free agency, that feels like, just a good floor to what to expect from him. I mean, he'll hopefully catch some first downs. The majority of these targets are going to go to JJ and Addison, and once Hawkinson comes back, we'll see how that works. But there is an opening there as, not just the wide receiver 3, but who's probably the third best option to catch passes from Darnold to start the season. Brandon Powell maybe has the leg up as a veteran, and these other guys like Naylor and Thayer Thomas, who likes the UDFA, and everyone else, it kind of just feels like a dartboard throw of which one of these random guys maybe emerges. But I mean, Brandon Powell might be the guy we're probably sleeping on, because we're just looking at the intrigue of all these unproven guys that are UDFAs that they've brought in. Yeah, Brandon Powell's a good one. I mean, we probably haven't really even mentioned him as much as we probably should, and he's a veteran wide receiver who definitely could make an impact still. Alex, how about you, man? Which player are you looking forward to watching the most at training camp this year?
Yeah, so I like the Powell take. I got maybe something against that a little bit later on, but I'm gonna go a little different here. I'm gonna go with the nasty guys in the middle, just mucking it up, and I'm gonna go with second-year defensive tackle Jacqueline Roy. I think if we look back, last year we drafted Jordan Addison in the first round. So maybe got overshadowed. I definitely got overshadowed. This guy was a top 50 prospect out of high school. His top 3 schools that he chose from were Bama, LSU, and Texas A&M. And he only started 13 games at LSU with how deep that system is. And I think, looking at Lance Zierlein, he compared him to Dalvin Tomlinson coming out of college. So someone that, basically I kind of view last year as a redshirt season under Flores. I think his season high in snaps was 17 in week 4. So this is a guy that has the talent to take a step forward, and really, if he can step in and be that kind of run stuffing first, second down defensive tackle, it frees up everybody else on the line to do their job better. I think Harrison Phillips is a good player, but was asked to do something he's not, made for. So I think Jacqueline Roy, if he can step up, and another year under Brian Flores, I really am hoping that he can kind of step up and jump into whoa, where did this guy come from? He's like a starter on this team and a difference maker. So that's my guy.
Yeah, Roy has an opportunity to maybe show that he can't just be, or won't just be a role player or a rookie or sophomore guy that's entering his second year, but an impact player and at a position that the Vikings kind of need someone to step up at. I mean, Harrison Phillips is fine. He's a serviceable workhorse, but at the end of the day, you start drafting these guys in the second and third, fourth round like Roy was, you're going to have to need them to start hitting. And yes, Jordan Addison was a great pick. We're hoping Dallas Turner and eventually J.J. McCarthy are going to be foundational pieces for the Vikings for years to come. But these mid-round picks that they need someone to kind of emerge from, Roy being, in the middle there at the nose tackle. Can he make an impact? He went to a very good school at LSU. That's obviously very prominent. I like the Roy pick, man. Again, that's one where it's defensive tackle. It's not flashy. We're not scoring touchdowns. He's probably not really even necessarily pressuring the quarterback a lot, but can he stuff up the run? Can he cause havoc that makes the pressure cave in? It's a good pick there. I like that one to watch as well. Taking a look at the kind of the rest of the Vikings here, boys, and I'll go back to you here, Seth. Which Vikings player or maybe even position group kind of concerns you the most heading into this season? We just brought up Roy and defensive tackle, but is there any position group or even just player that you kind of have a couple question marks on going into this season?
I mean, based off the last month, it has been corners going down, Jordan Addison messing up, but he has taken responsibility, which I appreciate. But I mean, what Shaq Griffin getting hurt the other day, that's terrifying. So I mean, corners is the easy cop answer, but I'm trying to do it a little differently. I mean, one thing I've always been a little bit concerned about. I mean, I'm a really big fan of our D. I'm just nervous that our D line, our edge rusher specifically, won't live up to the expectations. I think a lot of Vikings fans are like, "Oh, Grenard, we've got Turner, Van Ginkel." I mean, everybody's really excited for these guys. I've always been kind of nervous. What if they don't pan out? That's a kind of a concern for me. Just what if Van Ginkel? I mean, he's been in the Flores system before, but it's slightly changed a little bit. What if he loses step with his foot injury? I mean, or Turner just doesn't fit into it. I think he will. But I am kind of concerned that they might not fit in. And that's just a first-round pick going 17th overall that we traded the house for, That doesn't work out. That's a big concern for me.
Yeah, I mean, the Vikings do. They need the pass rush to get home, especially if they're just going to be very thin and exposed at cornerback. And, the more time you give quarterbacks to throw, the more time they're likely going to complete a pass. And I don't mind that they said goodbye to Neil Hunter and kind of replaced him with, 3 to 4 guys that are different that can rush the QB. But there is an expectation and pressure, for the lack of a better word, on those guys to get after the quarterback because that's going to be their biggest thing. I mean, corners are thin. I like Ivan Pace. He's a good linebacker, but Harrison Smith's up there in age. Josh Metellus is a Swiss Army knife and only can do so much. So if that, to your point there, Seth, if pressure's not getting home and all these guys don't live up to expectations, could be a very long year on the Vikings defense. Alex, how about you, man? Any players, any position groups, anything, kind of has you raising an eyebrow here as we get closer to the start of the season?
Yeah, that's I like the call on defensive line and edge. And I did the same thing. I don't, especially with what happened earlier this offseason, I didn't want to go corner and, especially I'm not faulting Kwesi for a thin room with everything that's happened. And the Blackman injury stinks, man, because that would have been fun to watch. But I think I'm going to zag a little bit here. I think I'm picking this position because the Vikings are going to have to win with offense. I look at that defense and say, Flores is going to get a lot out of these players, but they don't have a superstar. I'm hoping that Dallas Turner can eventually become a pass rushing superstar defensive end, but right now they're aging at certain spots. They've got some Ivan Pace is probably wearing the green dot, and he's a UDFA from last year, so this is a very interesting defensive group. But because I think the Vikings have to win with offense, the one spot that I wish and I just wish was better was wide receiver 3. And I think Brandon Powell is a guy that can play that position, and he'll be fine. Hey, there's no issue with him. But when I look at this team, JJ scares everybody. Addison, 10 touchdowns his rookie year. It's great. And I'm not going to count anything from Hockenson. That's a big injury. Took a while to get the surgery. I don't know if it was swelling related stuff, but it took a while to get him in there, and he's going to start on PUP. So, I want to go wheels up with this offense. And I think if you had hey, maybe they can go out in like waivers, or if they can go out and find a disgruntled guy that wants to come in and play here. Like, if they could strengthen that third receiver spot, then you got Aaron Jones and Ty Chandler. Then you got T.J. Hockenson. And this would be like, you've already got a pretty good offensive line. You just locked up Darisaw. If Blake Randall can be a dude at left guard, like, now you're terrifying defenses. And I think that's the push. If you could, like, hey, that's great. We've got Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, Brandon Powell's a good wide receiver 4. And we've got this wide receiver 3 that scares defenses. Now it's like top 5 offense, Super Bowl contender. JJ just drives the car. So that's the spot that I wish I was just like really, really sold on.
Yeah, the offense, even though we're going to see how well Sam Darnold is and maybe how ready J.J. McCarthy will be when he's called upon, it feels kind of turnkey with all the personnel that you just mentioned, and J.J. and Addison and Aaron Jones, who's hopefully going to fix some of the running problems the Vikings have had. And once Hockenson comes back, it feels like that offense should be really at full strength. But, yeah, it would be kind of nice to have, just another playmaker there. Need as many as you possibly can. I know Patrick Mahomes got it done with kind of a weak receiving core, but he's also the best QB in the league, and that's what happens when you're Patrick Mahomes. And Tom Brady had some weapons, but also at times did it with some random guys as well. He did that in Tampa Bay, and you need someone else, though, I think maybe had to step up here, and maybe that is a waiver claim. I kind of like that. That could be someone that is maybe cut at the last second or maybe signed at the last minute, but I feel mostly pretty good at the offense. It's a luxury that we get to talk about the wide receiver 3 being a big problem when a lot of other teams don't even have a wide receiver 1 that can obviously change the game like Justin Jefferson can. Boys, before we wrap up, Seth, any last takes, any shout-outs you'd love to give here on Vent Line before we wrap up? The floor is yours.
Well, I mean, for me, I'm from Indiana, and I don't get to talk Vikings very much, so I'm appreciative of the show. I work at UPS, and I unload trailers, and all I do is listen to podcasts as I go, and you guys just talking, and I don't know, makes the time go quicker, and I appreciate getting to actually hear some Vikings news while kind of busting it in the back of a trailer when it gets hot. So I get to hear things I love hearing about training camp where I don't really get the news here, and I appreciate your guys' show a lot, and I also appreciate my dad for the fact of. My dad grew up a Bears fan, and I appreciate my dad liking a crappy team like that. So I had to jump ship, and I ended up on the Vikings. So I've been a fan since AP days. I'm a little younger, so I haven't gotten the old experience. But since AP got here and started going crazy, I appreciate my dad for liking the crappy Chicago Bears. So I got to jump ship and join the Vikings.
I love it, man. Well, I hope you find some other Vikings fan-loving friend down there in Indiana. That'd be obviously nice to have someone to share some Viking stuff with, but appreciate you always listening and supporting Purple Daily too, man. You always got a spot here. Alex, how about you, man? Any last takes, any shout-outs you'd love to give here on Vent Line?
Yeah. I'm excited for this season. I think it's going to be, for the first time, it's like I'm not so terrified that if they don't, make the wild card, it's failure, and they don't know what direction to go to. I really love the GM and the coach. It's an exciting time to be a Vikings fan. I'm down in Kenosha, Wisconsin, so I'm like on the NFL Network, like Bears Packers rivalry, like the Broad Stop that's 5 minutes from here is like the spot that everybody it has that rivalry. So I remember I used to watch SportsCenter waiting for like one Vikings highlight growing up. So to be able to hear Purple Daily is super awesome. So thanks to you guys for putting out content 365. Thanks to my wife, who's about to have a baby in like 4 days, for putting up with it, and another season of hopefully not as stressful, but a lot to learn with the Vikings. A lot to teach the little kids around here. And shout out to Nick, my brother, who's a Vikings fan, and Rich, who I work with, and we are always chatting Vikings. Did you hear what they say on Purple Daily today? So just a good community, and hopefully an exciting season. With more ups and downs this time. So thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Love it, boys. Thank you for coming on Vent Line. Great takes, great stuff coming in. And again, anyone listening, watching, you want to be on a future episode of Vikings Vent Line, you can hit me up. It's vikingsventline@gmail.com. Purple Daily, Daily Vikings Entertainment. Stick around for Judd's camp notes and some other things happening this coming week. Appreciate you guys. Be talking to you soon.